As the time keeps ticking, and ticking closer to the season's ultimate climax, we find ourselves here tonight for the Nashville 240, presented by 7 Bar Barbecue at Nashville Speedway here in Lebanon, Tennessee, USA. Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Young, and I'm glad to bring you the action as you join us now, starting for the round of 12. As now we officially have entered the round of 12 here. As drivers now participate in qualifying, we'll show you how the field sets for the round of 12, and we'll show you how everything is going on in qualifying right now. So we'll pull up the ticker here and show you what's going on. Obviously right now, no surprise at the moment. John Hagen is one of the faster cars out on track, and he is one of our current pole sitters. However, there are some strong drivers showing their reins, including this man, Edward Marshall. One of the drivers that's in the round of 12, obviously punched his ticket in last week after his strong performance at Charlotte. Set up nicely to be able to get just across the line. Didn't have to do something too crazy last week at Kansas. So now he's coming up here, going to try to punch his, try to set himself up right again to give himself a good lunch heading into the Charlotte Roval next week. We can catch a lot of drivers out, but as he finishes second lap, he'll go for a little bit of a spin. It'll be good enough for a P11 in the number 16 car. Another driver on a run, maybe not a playoff. Actually, we'll go to Chris Fleming, who is a playoff driver. Then we'll cut to the other driver, who was Ross Baxter, as we do want to see where the playoff drivers do end up qualifying. First lap for the Black Acid Racing driver. Good enough to put himself P12, just behind Edward Marshall. We'll see what he can do on the second run. At the moment, slowest playoff driver is Matt Vordon, currently sitting in 14. So all the playoff drivers, as is expected, really flexing their muscle here as it slowly progresses further and further on. So as he comes across the line to put up the second lap, be good enough for P7. So he will now split himself firmly right between Mike LaJoy and his teammate Josh Battles. Ross Baxter just finished up his first run, halfway through his second run here. One of only 2 drivers left to go, him and Dale Markowski. Other than that, though, 2 drivers still sit playing, Mark Dila and Ryan Pinnell. We'll see if either head out to the track. They'll still have some time if they so choose. But a second lap about to complete here. Where will Ross Baxter put it? Good enough for P11. So we see Dale Markowski just cross the line for his first run. Good enough for 13th. Can he join the Black Acid Trio and join Battles and Fleming just inside outside the top 5? He's going to have to put up a good lap if he wants to do that. So he comes across the line. Good enough for P9. So he'll miss out on the Black Acid Trio by a position, but still firmly inside the top 10. So as Galloway looks like he's just staying stationary there. With over a minute to go here, there is still plenty of time if Dila or Pinnell would like to go out. But right now, firmly in the top spot is John Hagen, with Feather Place, Gaiman, Wanzi, and Feemster, your top 5. You can almost say it is the calm for the storm here as we're waiting a minute. We'll obviously go over all the information we have during warm-up as we're just waiting for a few extra things to get confirmed here. So really, we're just waiting in the calm for the storm here. Actually, while we do have the second, we'll take a look. I believe this is that's the wrong graphic. I think it's this one. Yep, showing you what's next. If you are tuning in for the first time, this is what awaits these drivers. Obviously, next week, the Charlotte Roval is where they will be heading, and that will decide the field of round of 8. Then it'll be New Hampshire and Las Vegas will set the field for the Final 4, which will condense on September 7th. And you can catch all of this on ABN Studios' YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Eastern each Sunday, except obviously the 31st, which they have off. So with 10 seconds to go here, we're about to head out to warm up. It's going to be Hagen, Feather Place, Gaiman, Wanzing, Feemster, your top 5. But we'll see how that all shakes out as we head on to warm-up. So as drivers begin to head out onto the track here, we'll follow around with maybe one of the playoff drivers here if we can find some good scenic shots here. Both black as the cars come out. We'll now take a look at the playoffs, as there was some interesting situations that happened last week. We do need to make sure we cover that in its full glory. So looking at the screen right now, you can see the 12 select drivers and the 4 that ended up missing the playoffs. So Hagan obviously winning both rounds, punched his ticket. He's looking to go 3 for 3 to start the playoffs here. Brandon Featherplace will come in second. Marshall, Vordon, Fleming, Battles, Gaiman, Markowski, Oberstadt, Wanzing, Galloway, LaJoy will be the top 12 drivers that end up making it through. What's noteworthy at the very least is there was a tie between Jonathan Adams and Josh Battles last week. We were talking about that strategy Jonathan Adams pulled to try to get those extra stage points and ended up putting him in a dead tie. And he ended up missing out by 1 point. Missing out on a tiebreaker, which is rewarded to whoever had the best finish in that round, similar to the real NASCAR rules. With obviously Josh Battles finishing 15th, and Adams' best finish was 23rd. It ended up going to Battles, who, with the bonus points he did accumulate a little bit, will have at least a little bit of a cushion above that line. But you can see it is skin tight between Mike LaJoy and pretty much all the way up to Brandon Featherplace. It's a 4-point swing, so any bad performance here tonight could put you behind the 8 ball that you would have to make up at the Roval. Some of these drivers may not be the most specialized at the Rovals. It could play into the factor. The only driver that really has a race cushion right now is John Hagan, who swept both rounds. Obviously, looking at the drivers, 11 of the 12 playoff drivers are here tonight. The only driver that is not seems to be scheduled at the moment is Patrick Oberstadt. We'll see if he does get a last-second join here. But if not, 11 of 12 playoff drivers are still here, and they will run. That means Oberstadt will have to make up a king's ransom of points at the Roval if he is so able to join us next week. While we do got the second, we also have some updated points. Obviously, we do not have a graphic for this, but we will at least go over it. We were obviously keeping an eye on the points for the constructors, as there is a bit of a payout for that too. Right now, Bowie Esports leads by about, give or take, 150 points over SRD Motorsports. It seems to be a 2-horse race with Dirty Air in third, but they are about 600 points back of Bowie with well over 5 rounds to go. So it's going to be a 2-horse race between Bowie and SRD. And there's a tie at the bottom between CBR and Presidential Racing, as they are trying not to bring up the wooden spoon, with Raggy Racing only about 100 points ahead of them. So like I said, we'll talk about the characteristics of Nashville. It is a concrete track. We'll be racing during the night, so we'll give cooler track temperatures. Obviously, pit lane, we saw last week catch out a lot of drivers. You can see a couple getting caught out now as we see the 38 come in. 16 ended up going for loop there, Edward Marshall. And the 11 of Josh Battle, we also saw a side shot there, was also stationary on pit lane. So if we do see some green flag running, we could see the risk of drivers making mistakes. And that caught out a couple drivers last week. So we better be hopeful it doesn't catch them out of Iowa, similar to here at Nashville. With them both being very tight, trod-shaped ovals, they can have ill-averse effects. Speaking of that, that man right now is currently at the top of the session here in warm-up, John Hagan. So we will take a quick 1-second pause here, and we will catch you back in during the main race. So do not go anywhere. The Nashville 240 will be happening in just a moment, so don't go anywhere. And if you are joining in, you have just made it just in time for the Nashville 240 presented by 7 Bar Barbecue. As the cars begin to go out onto the track here, let's take a look at the starting grid to see where all our fan favorites will be lining up here tonight. So taking a look at the grid here, we got John Hagan and Brandon Featherplace, two rivals these past 2 weeks. They will be in row number 1. Row number 2 will be Josh Gaiman and Seth Wansing. Row number 3 will be Kevin Feemster and Josh Battles, good qualifying position for Josh Battles. Row number 4 will be Chris Fleming and Mike LaJoy. Row number 5, Dale Markowski and Austin Mongold. Row number 6, Brian Dixon and Ross Baxter. Row number 7, Colin McDonough and Edward Marshall. Row number 8, Brian Johnson, Matt Vordon. Row number 9, Blake Galloway and Matthew Kent. Row number 10, Mark Dila and Ryan Pinnell, the only two drivers not to qualify, and they will be bringing up the last row of the grid. So now we do just wait for the cars to tow on in here and get situated, and there the pace truck will go. So we'll only get presumably 1 lap of pacing, as it is a big enough track that I don't think we'll need an extra lap to allow this field to get caught up. So as they get caught up to speed here, we'll go over the race day information to update the viewers what they will be looking forward to here tonight. So obviously 160 laps await these drivers. Stages at 25 and 80. They'll have 5 sets of tires available, 50% fuel in the cars. They have 3 green-white checkered attempts if they need it. And obviously no fast repairs. And lastly, as I do always end on this, first restart of the night will be on green. Every other restart will be on leader's discretion in the restart zone. So we're going to be in for an interesting playoff race here tonight, as we are going to shape up for one great race. So as the pace truck pulls on in, we are going to get this show underway here. Green flag is out, and away we go for 160 laps at Nashville. So as they come out of lap for quarter number 4 to finish lap number 1, similar situation we saw last week with John Hagan leading the first lap, Featherplace in second. Now we got a bit of a battle shaping up for third here as Wansing is looking to get the jump on Josh Gaiman. This track can be pretty racy, and obviously we're going to see kind of similar situations to last week, where obviously cars that were quite strong last week are probably going to be in the favorites to be strong this week. Obviously, Kevin Feemster was one of those names that came to mind. He came through the field. Obviously, had a mistake coming to pit lane where he came into contact with Tommy Withers. But looking to rebound here in that number 17, obviously running for the pride of it and wants to be a spoiler for the field here, as he's currently sitting in P5, trying to get a move done on Brandon Featherplace. Battle's going the wrong way quickly here as he's fallen down a couple of spots, darting down to 9th. His black-ass teammate joining him as they both lost 3 spots. One of the biggest losers right now at the moment. Only Brian Johnson's lost more as he's fallen down 4 spots. Edward Marshall has been up 3 spots, one of the bigger movers, as he's looking to try to get around both the Black Acid Racing machines. As I get settled up in here, we'll head a little bit up here, as obviously Featherplace is also, looks like he may have got maybe a bit of a long-run car here, taking a bit conservative, as we saw him last week do. Swansea and Gaiman showing, at least Wansing showing he's got a very good short-run car here, as he's hit lap number 5. Obviously, stage 1 being so short, there's no real risk of seeing pit stops happen here in the first stage. And obviously, depending on if cautions were to fly, we could see cautions in stage 2. We should see, not cautions, we should see possibly green flag pit stops in the second and final stage. Otherwise, looking to answer back here on the corner panel. The 61 to Gaiman here as they head off back into 1. Again, with being so close on the standing lines right now, any stage points, even 1, could make the difference and either give you a little extra cushion going next week in the Robles. Obviously, looking at this top 4 per se right now, I wouldn't say there really any risk as they pretty much go pretty strong at the road courses and the ovals. But you look at some other names, we know those drivers in the previous road courses we've seen at the Watkins Glen, Sonoma, other ones in between, they've kind of struggled a little bit. So we may see those ill effects happen here. So this could be the race you need to build up a ransom and hope you can hang on to the bucking Bronco that is the Charlotte Roval. We'll go on board here with Josh Gaiman, who has got a pretty good seat right now, watching ahead with Wanzing and Feather Place. Obviously, you can see in the distance, John Hagen has opened up about a second's interval. This battle we're seeing through second, third, and fourth. Putting his car where he needs to put it, and is keeping himself ahead, at least for the time being. We'll check up a little bit further back. It's pretty much single file for the most part here. It's getting a little bit close between Michael Joy here and the 4 of Austin Mongol, that unsponsored machine. Which is odd, as usually we see Mongol at least rocking some paint, but looks like it did not load in time. We'll head a little bit further back here. Right now, Matt Fordon, obviously with the previous 2 good rounds here. Odd to see him down in 15th, but at the moment he's slowly making progress here. Already up 1 spot. Trying to set his sights on getting around the 39 machine of Colin McDonough. But as you can see out the windshield here of Matt Fordon here, you can see it is pretty much single file. No one's overly close enough to really get a good run on the car ahead. And we know this car can struggle a little bit in these shorter tracks. Obviously, Nashville isn't really a short track per se, but some of the effects can possibly affect making passing a bit more difficult, especially with a fixed setup. Oh, we do have a spin. That's going to be big time, big news. Josh Gaiman around, and that is going to be a caution. Obviously, we saw him behind Feather Place and Wanzing, and he is involved, and that is going to be major implications for the 61 car. Mongold also have torn up as well in that 4 machine. We also know Feimster took a piece too, so Gaiman had to tow back to pit lane, Mongold with some damage, and the 17 of Kevin Feimster. See if we can get a quick look here to see if there's any. Yep, you can see some of the damage already ruminating off that machine. But let's take a look here and see what happened to Gaiman. And we can already kind of see it here. You can see the car is already out of shape. So we're going to back it up a little bit. And we'll play it at a little bit of a slower speed here. So Gaiman's all alone. And if I had to guess, I think this car just kicks. Yeah, you can already see it drifting sideways, and you can see him trying to save it, We'll play it at full speed. There it goes. And Feimster actually gets around. LaJoy ends up getting a little bit of a piece of it, and then obviously nowhere for really the car of Michael LaJoy to go. So we'll take another look, this time from another angle. This time we're focusing on, that's Mark Dila. Don't know why I put back Mark Dila. Let's go back to Josh Gaiman. So you can see him right there, already fighting into the corner there. Yeah, just LaJoy ends up shooting him up the road, right in Austin Mongold's path. We'll take 2 more looks. Well, this time focus on Austin Mongold, right up over him. You can just see, just tries to go high, but with that ping pong, there really was nothing Mongold could do. And then one more look. This time we'll see how bad the damage may have been for Gaiman here. So we'll back it up just a bit. And we'll go inside the machine of the 61, and we'll just listen to the sights and sounds here. It just goes out of the groove just a bit. And it kicks. Doesn't sound that bad, but these cars are built. But obviously if you break a toe link or hit it just the wrong angle, it could be terminal. Now you can see him trying to reverse it, and you can see it just not really going anywhere. So something clearly is wrong in that machine. So back to live action we go. And it looks like it is day done for Gaiman as he has pulled it behind the wall, it seems. So his day, he knows just from that situation, that was pretty much terminal damage. And he has decided to call it a day. Austin Mongold also on pit lane here. He is going to go down a lap due to damage repair. And now he will be officially one down. Ryan Pinnell, the only car to come in under pit stop windows here, fittingly enough, matching the number on the side, lap 12. But we'll have 17 cars on the lead lap and 17 cars running. Only Blake Galloway didn't take the flag here, and that is quite interesting because remember, Blake Galloway, we saw him kind of stop there during qualifying. It's obviously interesting to note because Galloway was another playoff driver as well. So obviously Patrick Oberstadt not here, Blake Galloway not taking the flag, and now Josh Gaiman going to basically finish 19th. That is 3 playoff drivers. Presumably, yeah, at least Gaiman and Galloway will get some points. Oberstadt will get none. And that's going to put 3 drivers in a pretty much a big hole heading in the next week that they're going to have to try to overcome. But up front, Hagen, Wansing will be row 1, Feemster, Feather Place, row 2, LaJoy, Baxter, row 3, Fleming, Marshall, your first 4 rows here. Green is out, and away we go. Good launch there by Hagen. Obviously, we do see the outside line begin to struggle a little bit. That could open the door here for Feather Place. Oh, 29, a little bit out of shape. Luckily, we'll save it. Does not come up the road here, but obviously did not come in and fix that little bit of damage he got from the Gaiman collision. And you can see the effects as he'll fall back here a little bit. Obviously just going to try to tough it out for 10 more laps and not get the flag. However, that is going to take him out of contention for getting any stage points. Back up within 10 to go in the stage. We got Hagen still leading the way, Feather Place second. Now Wansing now down the third. Feemster and Ross Baxter in fifth. But you can see right now that may not last for long as Chris Fleming is going to try to split the difference here and put himself up nicely in the 5th position. A little bit of a logjam further back here as the last stage point now belongs in the hands of Matthew Kent. But Vet Ronan, knowing how crucial it can be, he's going to put the fight onto this one. Every point does matter. As we always saw Mike LaJoy able to make the chase by having just enough points to make it above the line, as he ended up missing the cutoff race. So still side by side here for 10th. Obviously, for drivers that are not in the playoffs, the pride is still to finish well and win. Still side by side. Keeping an eye up the front, too, as right now, Feather Place has run 2 better laps than Hagen, but the gap is not relatively close yet. I really think it's a pivot necessary here. At that point, Verdun will lose the spot to Hagen. So we're going to head back up the road here just to update the leaders here. And you can see right there, I was keeping an eye on it. Gap was close, and you can see now it was in a 10th or 2 as Feather Place ran 3 better laps than Hagen. Even the best lap of the race a couple laps ago. So he is trying to put the hammer down here and take stage 1 glory away from Feather Place. Obviously easier said than done. But if anyone can do it, I would not discredit Feather Place here. As we will now officially hit 5 to go in the stage as we do end coming to 25, not at the end of 25. Getting a bit of racy further back here, you can see the effects. Right now, battling that trip around the high side. Ryan Pinnell with those 4 fresh tires is going to try to carve up here and get some extra track position here. Obviously going to lose a set, but thinks it's for his game here. 3 wide, usually doesn't work. Kent going to get shoved up the road into the outside wall. And he'll stay green, but that is going to be some damage for Kent here.
as they are still battling up here at the very least. The last stage point right now in the hands of Ryan Pinnell. At least we see one or two playoff drivers behind trying to fight. Back up towards the front we go. Hagen's beginning to stabilize the gap here as he's pulled a little bit further ahead now of Feather Place, but obviously Feather Place still keeping him honest here as we will have 4 to go in the stage. And obviously if something were to happen to Seth Wands, with his support from Midwest Barbecue in the chat, hoping he can find success here as he sits in 3rd. Head back a little bit here. Fleming, Marshall, Baxter, 5th, 6th, and 7th on Dre's track right now. I see Baxter thinking about trying to get something done here as we hit 2 to go in the stage. Pit lane officially now closed. Obviously, we probably wouldn't see anyone come down anyway to try to flip the stage if the track's too big. However, it is now officially closed. Obviously, we'll see that next week in the Charlotte Roval, where we'll see maybe a couple drivers try to forego stage points in trying to get track position. But for right now, we don't see anyone head down pit lane. Up front, Hagen will take the white flag in stage number 1 here. 3/10 clear of Brandon Featherplace. One more thing to note. Ryan Pinnell was moving forward. Looks like he got stuck a little bit. He's got stuck at 12th right now. But for the last stage point right now, it's in the hands of this man, Colin McDonough. Fordon knocking on the door. We'll see if he can do anything here. Let's head off into 3 and 4. But up front, Hagen going to survive the challenge. And as he comes off of 4, he will win stage number 1 here. Feather Place will come on the 2nd. Wansing 3rd. As the rest begin to file out here, we'll show you as they come across the line. And there, as they come across the line, McDonough will hang on to the last stage point here. So as the field gets caught up, we'll take a look at stage 1 results. John Hagen takes victory with Brandon Featherplace 2nd, Seth Wansing 3rd, Kevin Feemster 4th, Chris Fleming 5th, Edward Marshall 6th, Ross Baxter 7th, Dale Markowski 8th, Battles 9th, and Colin McDonough 10th. Out of those 10 drivers, 7 of them were playoff drivers. McDonough, Baxter, and Feemster were not playoff drivers, being a bit of a spoiler here in this regard. So as the field gets caught up here, pit lane should be open this time by. Obviously, everyone should, for the most part, come in. The only question mark, I think, is will Ryan Pinnell elect to come in? Obviously came in at lap 12, but obviously with a pit stop obviously in the next stage, does he elect to come in? Say that, obviously Hagen going to take the access road here. Obviously not required. You can pit off of 4 if you so choose. But Hagen just going to take the access road, probably be safe. But now with pit lane open, it is now open season as everyone is officially coming on in. As we don't really have a good pit lane camera. But as figured, Ryan Pinnell will stay out here. And that's actually going to be non-beneficial for Austin Mongold and Blake Galloway. Galloway just got in the car here, so at the very least, he'll finish ahead of Josh Gaiman. Mongold with the lucky dog. And that will actually put him back on the lead lap. But for Galloway, obviously, it was too many laps he would have to make up anyway, but still not good as, you know, getting at least 1 or 2 laps back if someone has terminal damage late in the race could be beneficial. So as we keep an eye on the pit lane, everyone taking 4 tires. Question is, whose virtual crew will get them out first? As they fire off right now, Hagen going to win the day. Wansing crew will get him out 2nd. Feather Plays, Feemster, 39. Yeah. Feemster, Fleming, Marshall, Baxter, Markowski, Battles, McDonough, Vordon, Dila, Johnson going to be your 14 off pit lane. With Mike LaJoy, obviously we saw him get that damage in the Gaiman crash. He's going to elect to stay in a little bit longer to get those repairs. Brian Dixon now going away, and Mongold coming on in after being a lap down. And obviously Matthew Kent, we saw his collision with the wall. They're both going to have some extra time in pit lane here. So up front, Ryan Pinnell. Again, congratulations in order for him, as he and his wife have had a successful childbirth, and now he's officially a girl dad. Obviously, we talked about it last week, but now back here again. We give all our congratulations to the Pinnell family. here and the ABM studios, and obviously ARCS as well for Mr. Presidente. They also send their regards as well. So obviously he will now lead the way and get an extra lap for bonus points. So even though he's not in the playoffs, trying to help out Presidential Racing and make sure they don't finish last in the Constructors. So Pinnell Hagen will be row 1, Wanzing, Feather Place row 2, Feemster Fleming row 3, Marshall Baxter row 4, Markowski Battles row 5. 17 cars on the lap and still running. Austin Mongold looks like he got his lap back, but still wanted to make sure that thing's completely fixed. He'll go now 1 down. Obviously only car 1 down, so he likes his odds. He'll be able to get back on the lap. Galloway, multiple down, but back on the track. Josh Gaiman, our only retirement. Real fast, we also like to take this opportunity fast. Thank you to Midwest Barbecue. Obviously, they do sponsor some of the series from time to time. We also like to thank them as well for coming on into the chat week in and week out and showing their support as well. Obviously, I keep an eye on the chat as we stream. So obviously, if you want to throw out some comments, opinions, show who you're rooting for, go on in and say it in the chat here, and you'll get our attention. So Pace Truck going to pull on off. Control will be on Pinnell when we get stage number 2 rocking. Green flag is out, and away we go for stage 2. Oh, big contact. We got to cover it. Come back. Hagen, Feather Place off into the inroad, and we saw Wanzing kind of making a move there. We'll have to watch it, but that is major. Obviously, it looks like it's not major damage for the number 1 of Hagen, and I think Feather Place both escaped minor damage, but that was not expected, was keeping an eye on it, and we obviously, you can see, I think that right side a little bit jacked up on Feather Place, but we'll have to take a look again, but it just catches you off guard. Major implications, the top 3 cars coming to contact there. So we'll take a look here, just going back to the restarters. They didn't pop up in the box. We'll focus on Seth Wanzing here, as obviously him and Hagen were what caused his caution coming out of 2. So green flag pops out here. We're going to let it play just for a moment. And then we're going to stop about here, and we're going to go into the chopper camera as it never lies. We'll play it out for a minute, and then here we're going to slow it down. So obviously Hagen on the high side, 5 of Wanzing on the low side. Wanzing obviously gets a better run off the corner. Does he self-clear himself? Oh, he kind of does a little bit. He gets a little contact, but that's not going to be what caused the incident. It's going to be Feather Place there. You see gets on the corner panel of Hagen, and that's going to be what caused both of them to go around here. We'll now play it at full speed. Obviously, Feather Place doesn't hit anything. Hagen does clip that wall just a bit. Obviously, again, doesn't look like it's major damage, but that's the contact that takes it out. So we'll go back again here, right at the point of the yellow flag. And obviously, again, not directly caused by Wanzing there. So obviously, Wanzing didn't do anything wrong, per se. So we'll see if we can get another look at this. So you can see here there, Wanzing comes up, and then, as a probably not a good angle, that works. And right there, yeah, see Feather Place just follows up the road 2 and ends up getting into the corner panel of Hagen as they both end up going around here. We'll take another look, this time focusing on a 34 here, and obviously we don't really have it pop up, so we'll have to manually rewind. But we'll play it out, go on board with the 34. No contact, yeah, just a little contact. As they both come to blows. So just kind of hard racing per se. We'll obviously see what stewards think of it after the race, but they're not going to make any judgment calls here now. More importantly, up front, Wanzing will inherit the lead as Ryan Pinnell did elect to take this caution and come on in for service. So he comes on in along with a handful of other drivers. Obviously, Feather Place came in just as precautionary to make sure the car was okay. Obviously, Dixon, Hagen, Pinnell, Kent, LaJoy all came in, with LaJoy and Kent fixing up previous damage, Pinnell obviously coming in for 4 fresh tires, and Hagen and Feather Place coming in to fix up any possible damage they got from that contact under the previous caution. So Wanzing will take the lead here with Feimster in second, Fleming, Marshall row 2, Baxter, Markowski row 3, Bourdon, Battles row 4, McDonough, Dila, your first 5 rows. So as the pace truck pulls off, we'll get the show back on the row here.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag is out, and away we go again. Obviously, that caution brings out some questions obviously we had. Obviously, I was wondering, could Pennell make 10 to 12 lap old tires work? As obviously tires can be a premium around here. Right now, though, Fleming and Feimster are going to fight hard here for second. I think the second question is, obviously, if you do have maybe a bit better, more speed or more natural pace, how quickly can you carve for the field and get back up towards the lead here? So as we watch right now, Fleming tried to go for the move on second place, now going to end up losing a spot for his troubles, as he will now slot down to third. Right now, keeping on Hagen, he's already gotten back inside the top 10. It seems like him and Feather Place are on a mission at the moment. 2 men on a mission, as they are both looking to try to get inside the top 10 here. Both drivers did take 4 tires and fuel, so they both elected to take an extra set of tires, it seems. Obviously, with there being a few amount of sets, obviously that could come in to hurt them if they're not careful, but they are going to take their set now and probably take fuel only on their next pit stop window here. So as Hagen gets clear, he'll be now up to 9th. Battles now under pressure from Feather Place as they're both looking to try to get inside the top 10. Ooh, big move here possibly. Dila going to be a bit of a pick here. Feather Place looked like he made a move. Dila ended up hitting his mark in the corner. You can see the effect that had. It kind of stopped Feather Place from making the move. And what we've seen week in and week out, you want to get around that one as quick as you can, especially early in a run, because when Hagen gets comfortable, you can see the effects it allows. Obviously, with this traffic, can be a Feather Place's best friend. And you can see the current move as he is trying to find a way around this number 1 machine before they see some separation. Up front, you can still see it's Seth Wanzig show Feimster in second. We'll pivot back there in just a second here. As actually we'll pivot back there now. As you can see, the train for behind Feimster here. He's got the 16 Edward Marshall and the 38 of Fleming. But Feimster holding his own right now. As they come across the line this time by, we'll check to see who's the fastest car on track at the moment. As that time, last time by, it was John Hagen. This time by, fastest car was Edward Marshall with a 30.14. Next 2 fastest were Feimster and Fleming, so they both put down some good times there. Back here, Markowski under pressure from both Hagen and Feather Place, as they both just picked off Dila. Hagen going to try to go around the high side, and this could open the door here for Feather Place. Question is, depending on the lane Markowski goes, this could kill momentum. Yeah, and you can see right there, but he's going to be close to clearing himself. He will clear himself, put him now up a spot, as he will now be 8th. Feather Place will be 8th, and Hagen will be 9th, as now he's going to get a low shot on Markowski. So now Hagen will also try to follow suit on Markowski as well. And that will put him firmly into 8th place. Markowski now down to 9th. further up the road. Baxter and Bourdon giving the next two cars. They're having their own little battle here. Bourdon looking to try to get himself in the top 5 here. Baxter trying to help out the cause of Bowie. As he knows, every point does help in the constructors. With Smil Racing 9 slowly eating in on that lead, you don't want to end up giving extra points as you can help it. Bourdon will get clear, though, and now the question is obviously how much of a fight will he put with a 34 feather place behind him here. Teammate with team boss. Obviously, you don't want to fully impede him, but at the same point, obviously don't want to ruin your own race here, so he's going to get around here, and I bet you, maybe trying to think it might be holding up Hagen just a bit, but obviously not going to be able to fully do it. Both cars will get around. So now, Baxter down to 8th, feather place in Hagen, 6th and 7th. Up front, Semphalantic still leads the way, which I know will make the Midwest Barbecue conjugation in the chat very happy, as he is now led well over, I would probably guess, at least 15 laps. A little close, 13 right now, now hitting 14 to 44. Obviously, John Hagen's led the most, currently at 25. And obviously, Ryan Pinnell's led a couple himself. As right now, Wanzing has opened up about 8/10 the gap to Kevin Feames there in second. Obviously, keep an eye on these two as they pretty much are carving through the field here. And obviously, with Wanzing just having a healthy gap right now, there's not much overly to cover. So the question is, as we kind of were seeing on that restart, how quickly can Feather Place and Hagen get through? Is obviously, we know a green flag pit stop looms in this stage. As with the 50% fuel capacities and the tire fall off, you'll have to pit presumably at least once in the second stage and definitely in the third stage. And we have a caution, so that will presumably get rid of the possible talks of a green flag stop. We'll see if we can see it is. It looks like it's Mike LaJoy. It is Mike LaJoy. And that is going to be playoff implications. That front end is destroyed. And I think that is day done for the driver of the 29. So we'll take a look here and see what happened. Obviously, he was involved in that earlier incident with Gaiman. And obviously, he's alone on the track. Question is, does he get a piece of someone else's business, or does he make a mistake on his own? Oh, similar spot. That is a big lick, by the way. But similar incident we saw with Gaiman, just losing it in that corner. Obviously, Gaiman lost a little bit earlier, and then eventually it kicked by the end. That one, it kicked, tried to correct it, and it just wasn't enough and wasn't meant to be. We'll look at it again this time by, and we'll take it here. Take it, pause here, just to show you how vicious this is. There's the kick, and there's the correction. At that point, you're just a passenger. Oh! That is a big lip. The hood goes as high as the catch fence, as he's now just spinning like a top. We'll take one more look this time by. We'll go inside the cockpit of the 29. And for those that get motion sickness instantly, you may want to avert your eyes to the screen for just a second here. Just one snap, one correction, and that's all it takes. And it is day done for Mike LaJoy as you heard the engine just let go. So as he will be in the pit lane, he will join. This is actually good for Galloway, as Galloway obviously with this will get another spot gained on another playoff driver. So Galloway just elected to come back in late, get back, get some track time. He's going to be able to jump LaJoy here in about 10 laps time. Kenton Mongold obviously still going, so at the moment that's as high as the buck will go. Up front, obviously new leader, John Hagen will come in. He would take 2 tires on his stop, obviously taking 4 fresh ones under the previous stop he took under caution. So he will elect to take 2. Bourdon will also take 2 along with Feather Place. McDonough will take fuel only. Ryan Pinnell, who obviously also came in 4 in the last run, will take 2. Marshall and Wanzing will take 4. And obviously Wanzing's crew let the ball down, or he had some minor damage that we didn't know about, as he came in for a 15-second stop where all his rivals are in the 14-second range, and he will lose a spot for his troubles. So as they get bunched up again, Hagen, Verdon, row 1. Feather Place, McDonough, row 2. Pennell, Marshall, row 3. Wanzing, Fleming, row 4. Johnson and Framester, your top 5, your first 5 rows inside the top 10. And now the question is, as we will not see another pit stop in this stage, can 2 tires, or 2 right side tires, and 2 fresh right side tires, and some slightly worn 10, 12 lap old left side tires, can they hang off for a driver that has 4 fresh tires on the machine? Obviously, the advantage will be neutralized at the beginning, but as the run goes on, can Hagen and Feather Place use this 2-tire strategy to work? And more importantly, how can McDonough do on a fuel-only run here? Will his tires hang on, or will he end up falling back here? Well, all those questions and more will be answered here in due time as the pace truck will pull on off, and we'll get ready to go here.
Green, green, green.
Green flag is out, and away we go. Was keeping an eye on McDonough to make sure he didn't spin the tires. But up front, obviously the 2-tire runners did not have any real spin there, but Pennell driving it in deep. And he's going to end up gaining a spot here on McDonough. Now Wanzing and Marshall looking to try to follow suit around McDonough here. Wanzing will get clear of McDonough, so he will gain a spot here. As we see Marshall also looking to try to get through on McDonough as well. Johnson, big lunge there on Kevin Feemster. Can't get the stick, though, and almost gets his nose chipped by Ross Baxter there. Back up the spot here. Marshall still side by side with McDonough. Up the road, you can see Wanzing, the 2 stalwarts of A Square, Wanzing and Pennell, both side by side here. And Wanzing will get clear. So put Wanzing up to 4th. Pennell now in 5th spot. As we cars begin to file in and file out here. Ooh, Edward Marshall also looking to try to make a move down here on Ryan Pennell. Sunny Money Racing looking to go towards the front here. So obviously, some playoff drivers having implications. If you can finish inside the top 10, it may be enough to at least give yourself a chance heading into Charlotte Roval next week. Brain kept blanking Road America, but the Charlotte Roval next week, you could be in a good spot if you can make sure you get double stage points here and a decent finish. Marshall's in 5th. Ryan Pennell down to 6th. Up front still, it's right now Hagen, but Feather Place keeping him honest. Similar to what we saw at the end of stage 1, a gap about 3 tenths. Matt Verdon right now in clean track position. Can he make this work? As we only seen him really buried in traffic, when he got some clean space, he was able to get some good runs going. For the back there, 2x2x2 back here. McDonough side by side with Pennell. Fleming also looking to crash the party as well. So we see right now we're following McDonough and Dixon. There we saw Fleming and Feemster get around Pennell. So Chris Fleming having himself a good run here, sitting in 6th. Pennell, though, showing all right call right now, but that car is beginning to sink a little bit here against the advantage of 4 fresh tires. Mio and McDonough, his fuel-only call seems to be even working worse here as he is falling like a stone in the water. So we stand these 2 battles here as they are pretty much one of the closest things we have on track at the moment as it comes to side-by-side action. Now we'll get clear right ahead of Dixon here. So Pennell's in 9th, Dixon's now in 10th. Head back up towards the lead. Right now it looks like Feather Place, it looks like he makes inroads, but then every time we see him make an inroad, it looks like he loses that time right back. So that time by pretty much dead even times. Feather Place just a tick slower. 30-10 for Hagen, 30-11 for Feather Place. Worth noting Marshall and Wanzing, who have 4 fresh tires, currently at 30-17 and 30-21 respectively. They're not putting down as strong times. And like we've seen throughout the seasons and the years, it makes you think that maybe 2 tires could be the call late here if we get a late run. But obviously, it's kind of a bit of an asterisk because usually when you take that 2-tire call, you'll have 40 old, a set of tires that are 40 laps old on the left, and on the right, you'll have fresh tires. Here, at least in Hagen and Featherplace's case, they have tires that are about 10 laps old. But 10 lap old tires in comparison to the tires that are on the right side. So the difference is minuscule in comparison to Wansing and Marshall on 4 fresh tires. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not overly indicative information. It can still go either way here. But one thing we can't really say it's going away is the driver of the 34 making inroads. That time by was able to get it just under 3/10, now at 3/10. Lap times actually favored Hagen, though, so he got some inroads, and it looks like he lost the time he gained. So they're pretty much just running dead even, and kind of like we saw when they were battling in that pack, I think it's just going to come down to who can get ahead of who is going to be what decides this race between the two of them of who finishes ahead. I'm not seeing really enough to make me think that one driver is going to be able to pull away from the other here. Speaking of, going a little bit further back here. See Ryan Pinnell right now trying to hang on to the spot with McDonough at 10th and 11th. Dale Markowski there in 12th. He's got Brian Johnson eating up his mirrors. Josh Battles also there, you can see in 13th. Pinnell looking to try to hang on here. Markowski obviously looking to split the difference here as he knows one extra stage point is on the cards if he can get ahead of both these cars here. But we see the 39 go around in a similar spot. We saw LaJoy and Gaiman. He'll do his little self loop, won't get hit by anything, and he will continue on. Further up the field, we see Wansing and Marshall. They've slowly reeled in Vordon here. Now about half a second gap between third place and these two cars we're watching. For reference, Vordon is lost about a second to, oh, I don't say lost, but it's about a second behind Featherplace and Hagen. Keep an eye on him closing up. Back to a little bit further back. Salt Flash. Right now, Dila and Brian Johnson battle for 12. Keeping an eye pretty much throughout the field here. Obviously keeping an eye on these battles here. Matthew Kent obviously probably just close somewhere than he was. Obviously Ryan Pinnell, Dale Markowski right now. Pinnell 9th, Markowski 10th. Markowski's that last stage point. And that was Josh Battles, teammates to Markowski, is sitting in 11th. That is the closest battle we have on track, so we'll stay on this for the time being. Up front, Hagen is 7/10ths clear of Featherplace. Vordon has only about a 3/10ths gap over Wansing. So if that gets a little bit closer, we'll pivot to that. Actually, we'll pivot to that right now instead. So Vordon right there, you can see last spot on the stage 2 podium. But Wansing looking to try to bring that 5 in and try to get around that 0-0. And see, this is what I was talking about earlier about how I said every point does and will matter here. Because obviously this run goes on with the stage ending at 80, so we're now officially under 15 laps to go on the stage. With field being so close and some other player drivers having troubles, if you can just get some good points here and then obviously make sure you don't have any huge mistakes at the Roval, you could be able to get through to the round of 8. And get through the round of 8. So just got to make sure you keep the car clean. Don't fully make too many mistakes and make sure you get your due diligence at the stage points to try to give yourself some extra separation, because if we get obviously a similar field to the Roval for the Roval next week that we got here tonight, you're looking at a minimum of 20 points plus stage points, so it'd only be about a 10-point swing. So getting, for Bourdon's case, getting an extra 8 points over the likes of Gaiman, LaJoy, Galloway, who's gotten 0 stage points here and won't get any stage points. Getting an 8-point cushion, and then whatever else you add on top of that, maybe let's make that ends up being 10, 15-point total over that. That could be crucial if you have an okay Roval next week, as that would pretty much put those drivers I just listed either in must-wins or hoping that other drivers struggle. Around Pinnell along with Markowski, so they're both now inside the top 10. Right now, Battles under pressure here from Dila, who's looking to crash his car. Go on board here with Dila. Brian Johnson elected to come in here, which is odd, as obviously we assume he can make it to the end here. A bit of an unscheduled stop from the 72, but he is in his box. He will more than likely go a lap down, if not 2, for his troubles. Up front, Hagan going to catch some lap traffic here, but we're going to put it back to Seth Watson here, as he ends up losing a spot to Marshall. Obviously not sure what exactly occurred here, but if I had to guess, Watson presumably may have just lost the back end a little bit there. And that allowed Marshall to catch through. Marshall may have got a good run and just passed him straight up. So actually, we got a second. We'll just see real fast. I'm just coming to the back stretch here real fast. We'll just see if we can see anything. Yeah, it just looks Marshall just straight up ran him down. So good on Marshall there, running down that 5 while we were looking away. Now he's going up a spot in 4th, Watson on that 5th. We see here either not really overly making inroads to Bourdon, as that looks like that's kind of stopped here. Obviously, he's just up the road there. Brandon Featherplace making a move on Austin Mongold. Now we see Featherplace. Again, it's lost kind of touch, which just shows that he can really confine that next gear when he needs it. He pulls a little bit further away here. Now 0.8 is the gap. Actually, the speed graphic here. Yeah, 0.87, which is nothing to sneeze at. But it just shows, it seems like right now Featherplace really gets the good pounce on Hagan where the tires are going to balance out. Or at the very least, Hagan kind of comes into his own a little bit, and you can see the effects of the place. Now open up to a second here as we now hit 5 to go in the stage. Look back, we see right now for the last stage point, Dila able to get clear of Battles. Now Battles going to manage his car number to be in 11th. Does he have anything extra he can put down? go. But up front, it's still Hagen. Pulling further away. He will actually get another lap car here in Galloway. That's Galloway being more than multiple down. He's just actually just going to kind of pull off here. Looks like he's coming down for another, possibly an unscheduled stop. He will hit his box. 4 to go in the stage, now 3. Back, Wanzing trying to get a good run on his teammate in Marshall. Does he have anything for him? Now going to 2 to go in the stage. Look at times. Wanzing 10th behind. Last time it was 30:44 for Wanzing, 30:32 for Marshall. That's ridiculous on the speed boards here. Oh, you see Wanzing trying to push whatever he's got. Knowing one extra spot could help in the pit road shuffle here, coming to the pit stops at the end of the stage. But up front, John Hagen will take the white flag in the stage here. 1 to go. He's got, again, a good gap to Brandon Featherplace. As long as he doesn't make a mistake here, he should be looking to sweep the stages in back-to-back weeks. Right back to Wanzing as that gap begins to grow here. Mark Dila trying to roll down and catch Markowski. So it looks like the top 10 is pretty much set. It's just going to come down to if there'll be any last-second changes here. But as Hagen comes off of 4, he is going to take Stage 2 glory. Brandon Featherplace will come home second, and as the rest begin to file in here, Marshall will hold off Wanzing. Batboard Don will get third. And Mark Dila will come across the line, and that will officially end the stage. So Mark Dila gets the last stage point honors. As we pull up the results here, Hagen takes stage glory here in the max 10 points it brings. Featherplace second, Vordon third, Marshall fourth, Wanzing fifth, Fleming sixth, Feemster seventh, Dixon eighth, Markowski ninth. Mark Dila rounds out the top 10. So with that caution shaking things up a little bit, the drivers obviously alt strategies and whatnot. We saw obviously Vordon only take 2 tires, and that worked out a treat, as he will get 8 points for his haul. But for other strategies like Pinnell and McDonough, it didn't work as well. So a bit of a mixed bag on calls, but it ended up working. So the 2 drivers that we thought were going to be in trouble at the start of the stage end up taking the top 2 spots in the stage. So they come down pit lane here. Pretty much it's going to be a crowded place again, as everyone and their mothers coming down, other than maybe Brian Johnson and a few others trying to get a lap back. As cars file off there, Hagen's crew will get the win. Vordon actually will get second place. His crew will get a big old win from him too. Then Featherplace, Marshall, Fleming, Wanzing, Feemster, Markowski, Dixon, Dila, your turns 10 off the pit lane. Obviously, again, a little bit of a slow stop for Wanzing. He's losing another spot for his troubles too. So makes you wonder again. We see time in and time out talking about how the virtual crew can sometimes cost you. And we've seen a few drivers struggle, a few other drivers gain. So obviously with the crucial pit stops in the final stage, we at least have one. It does raise the question, if it goes green, can you trust your virtual crew to get you in and out? And more importantly, we've seen week in and week out, drivers roll the dice, take 2. Is 2 on the cards? Or should you go 4? Obviously, those questions more will get answered in due time, as we've now hit officially halfway. But as they get bunched up here, Galloway will get a lap back. We will have 16 cars on the lead lap, and Hagen, Vordon will run in row number 1, Feather Place Marshall row 2, Fleming, Wansing row 3, Feemster, Markowski row 4, Dixon and Battles your first 5 rows. With Dila, McDonald, Baxter, Pinnell, Johnson, Kent last of the 16 on the lead lap. Mongold and Galloway, the only 2 cars running that are lap downs, as Mongold is now 2 laps back, and Blake Galloway is 14 laps down. So, again, just hoping for more chaos that he can try to capitalize on. And our only 2 retirements being Mike LaJoy and Josh Gaiman, who have both been caught out by Nashville Turn 2. But as the pace truck gets ready to pull on off, control will be on Hagen. And the first 2 stages are anything to go by. It's going to be an interesting final stage here. Green flag is out, and let's start the final stage. And similar to the first 2 stages, well, I mean the first stage, the second stage was technically led by another in Ryan Pinnell, but similar to what we saw, at least the first stage, Hagen will lead the opening lap. Vordon in second, Feather Place with good launch, sitting in third. Obviously, this is where it gets kind of interesting. You'll find out who has the car, who has found the time, who has made the track position up on strategy, and is looking poised to make a late run. Feather Place going to get clear here, put him at the second. And speaking of big movers, both Vordon and Marshall have both gained 10 spots from where they qualified. Obviously, Vordon up 13, Marshall up 10. And they're both taking the opportunity and running with it. Obviously, the biggest losers, speaking of those 2 on our screen right now, the big 2 losers would obviously be LaJoy and Gaiman as they're both out of this race. But if we're talking still on track, Battles has lost the most from where he qualified, down 4, and Mongold lost 7, but that's due to the damage he suffered on the opening caution. Fast lap of the race there by Brandon Featherplace, so at the moment he's going to at least get a bonus point for his troubles if that time is not beaten. 29.74. Hagen just ran a personal best, 29.77. So again, it shows Featherplace has a really good short-run car. That car seems very punchy, but as the run goes on, it seems to fall away, so we'll have to see how it plays, and wondering what strategies Feemster can do to cover that. Speaking of Feemster, you can see right now how in the back Seth Wansing. Gap Wands again, wondering what's gone wrong here in stage 2. He went from the highs, now back to the lowest of lows here to start the stage. As you see from the stats here, you can see obviously only a low of 7th, but that is pretty much where he is. But considering he was podium strong there in the first stage and near the second stage, it makes you wonder what he can do to maybe bounce back here. Further up, Edward Marshall going to survive the challenge with Chris Fleming. I believe that is what we saw there. And it's Grizzly 16, currently now sitting in 4th. Obviously don't want to drink certain drivers, but looking at the list right now, there are a couple drivers that are having good, quiet nights that are just making sure they rack up the points and make sure they put themselves in a good spot for the Roval next week. Obviously, again, if I say the names I'm thinking, I may end up getting attacked up here in the booth. So it's best just to keep those thoughts to ourselves, but if you're watching the broadcast, I think some of the names are quite obvious. Wansing looking to make a move here on Fleming. Side by side off of 4. Drag racing. And you want to make sure you leave space, but you also want to make sure you kind of let yourself be known here. Wansing going to get clear, so put him now up to 5th, matching the car number. Up front, Feather Place slowly reeling down Hagen. And when we talked to Hagen last week, he was kind of indicative that we don't see him go hard at the opening of the stage here because he wants to save his tires. He wants the other competitors to burn his stuff up, and then when they burn their stuff up, he can open up the gap. So maybe repeat what we seen last week, just playing it cautious, making sure he doesn't burn his stuff up here and put himself in a bad spot, and knowing he's kind of got the pure pace. He kind of tells the other drivers, all right, here's the bar, keep up. And when I accelerate the bar, try to keep up. Right now, that is working treat for him. This is one of 8 races this season. Has won at least almost a third. Obviously, it's actually over a third. At the moment, we have 22 races completed, so it's technically over a third. Right now, still striving the charges. A little bit further up, Edward Marshall going side by side with Vordon here. 2 dark horses coming into this playoffs. Marshall obviously won Indy, and Vordon ended up winning Kentucky. So unlike a few other drivers that have yet to found victory this season, they both found victory at 2 very iconic tracks, one in real life and one in the hearts of ABN. Not saying Kentucky's bad, but just it's definitely a crown jewel for ABN Esports here at ABN Studios Broadcasting, as it is the hometown track. The line forming here is obviously we'll go into the gearbox shot of Edward Marshall just to show you. Marshall, Verdon, Wanzing, Fleming, Dixon, all in the mirror. Even Feemster, all in the mirror here behind Vordon, as Vordon's looking to struggle here going into the quarter part of this session here. And we saw this last week. Marshall and Wanzing really struggled late with the tire wear, and they had to go for the undercut. And obviously, we haven't seen a green flag run yet fully to its completion. But it does raise a question. We've seen the undercut kind of bite Wanzing in the rear end the past couple weeks. Marshall more so as well. Is the undercut in the cards again? Because obviously the benefit is you get the track position, but the risk is if you your tires fall off more aggressively, you could end up putting yourself in a spot where you may not be favorable. Further up front, Feather Place not going away like a bad rash. It's under in the 2/10 bracket here, 0.25. A bit of a wobble there by Feather Place coming off the exit, but that's not going to deter him here. He wants this lead. Obviously, he's already technically, I think, led a lap, but at the very least wants that extra lap along with the bonus point and try to put the challenge on Hagen here, as it's been a little bit of ways away since Feather Place's last one. And if we went by head-to-heads, Hagen has had Feather Place's number, but Feather Place has not been a slouch. Honestly, I probably would argue I think Feather Place has the most P2s this season. I'd have to fact check that one, but I think if it's not him, it's maybe Millet. But either way, I would feel very confident saying a Bowie Esports car has definitely finished second most this season. Further back, though, Wanzing looking to make a move for 4th. On Vordon. We'll cut back to the battle in just a second. Obviously, we want to make sure we see this pass happen here. This does have playoff implications. Fleming also there looking to crash that party. Still staying on this one, but we may have to cut to the lead here if it gets any closer. Vordon with a nice switchback. Ooh, they're rubbing each other aggressively here as we're going to hit magical lap 100. 61 laps to go. This battling is opening the door for Fleming. Once again has the chance maybe to clear it here. He will now get it done, so Wanzing back to the point. We'll see if Vordon has an answer back here in just a second. It's going to go low, but he's not going to really have the run, so we're going to pivot back to the lead. While we were watching that, it fell to as low as 0.15. However, it just was not close enough that Feather Place could get onto the corner panel of the number 1 machine of John Hagen. like I said, a pit stop does loom. Obviously, with the cautions, we're not 100% what the fuel load looks like. Obviously, we have guesstimations and estimations. I'd say comfortably 30, 40 laps. Obviously, they've run so far 20, so I assume they're going to probably split this in half. We'll see them presumably come in around 120 range and then take it 40 and 40 would be the plan. I'd at least assume at HQ here. Oh, let's feather place again. Reels in Hagen. Marshall about 6/10. He's also coming in as well. That time by fastest on the track. 32.2 for Edward Marshall. And he is seeing those two cars in his mirror getting closer and closer as you just see Feather Place knowing he has a chance here. And maybe what we'll see in Michigan in about 4 weeks' time. These two fighting it out here as they seem to be the two favorites for the championship at the moment. Another good run off entry, but again, you can get as many good runs as you want. I do wonder, is Feather Place wanting to make this move? It seems like he gets an okay run, but then it seems to kind of just puddle out, or maybe he just can't fully get it done here. This time by coming across the line. Dead even on times. 30.29 for Hagen, 30.30 for Feather Place. 30.34 for Marshall, who's in third. They were the three fastest on the track. Okay run, but just yet now gap beginning to open a little bit. That time by, Hagen was faster by a healthy margin, 32.6 to a 30.37. The place has to be careful not to make sure he doesn't overdrive his machine here. Don't want to burn up your stuff before you even have a chance to get to the dance. And again, if they were to come to blows like we saw at the start of stage 2, Marshall's there to reap the rewards. That time by much better by Feather Place. He gets that time back. Ooh, Hagen checks up a little bit, but Feather Place has to get out of the groove. And he has to run it up the road. That's going to cost him some time. So maybe an indirect checkup, maybe a slowdown by Hagen there, just trying to make sure it stays planted. Or Feather Place maybe gets a good run there and just can't capitalize. That's going to cause at least a little bit of time loss there for Hagen. Much of the happiness of Marshall there, who's now gotten within half a second of the top two here. And we'll got this second here. Wanzi now sits in fourth, about 2 seconds back of the top three battle. Then it's Fleming, Dixon, Feemster, and Vordon, all in a bit of an umbrella here of cars. Vordon really struggling here. He's now falling down to 8th. Up front, those who don't really want to miss anything here if it happens. That time by again. Time gained back by Feather Place. All the time he just lost, he gained right back. Instead of pulling up the MP, watch a lap this time by through Feather Place's data here. Makes you wonder maybe if he could possibly try changing his lineup a little bit, but if he changes his line, we've seen time and time again, driver changes their line and ends up hurting them just because they don't feel comfortable there. Obviously, air wash is not that painful enough, or any pedal like that is hurting him. But it does make you wonder if he may have to end up changing his line here eventually. More importantly, as we are inching closer and closer to that pit stop window, I think we're in the window, or at least close to the window now. It does raise a question, will Feather Place try to go for the undercut here? If you can't pass him on track, you have to at the very least consider doing an undercut or something to try to get around him. But week in and week out, we've seen Feather Place go for the overcut, which kind of guarantees you're not going to get around him, as we only seen the overcut work in a handful of tracks. But similar to how we've seen Marshall, like, if there's one thing we can confirm, Marshall will definitely be the first out of these three to pit early, as he is the driver that loves his undercut. But I'm very intrigued to see how these two play it out. As I know, at least through Hagen's hands week in and week out, he's definitely a driver that likes to go kind of when you can get it split in half, basically. So we'll pull away this for a second, do some other homework here. Dixon reeling down Chris Fleming. Obviously, if Dixon gets clear, it would give Bowie more points in the Constructors, as he'll have now 2 cars inside the top 5. Obviously, again, we're keeping an eye on that battle right now. Still getting close between the two of them. But right now, this is our closest pass we have on track right now. Nothing crazy he can do, but right now they still hold spots. First car possibly in for the final stop. Dale Markowski, he is in. Very early call, but he was also a little bit further back, so we'll have to keep an eye if this is scheduled or not. But Markowski is officially in. Now we'll also go 1 lap down for his trouble, so if the caution were to come out, he could be in trouble here. Hagen has opened up about a 4/10 gap to Feather Place. So Feather Place is not really on its chuff, but looking at the times, that time by, they were dead. All top 3 are dead even. 30-28 for Hagen, Feather Place, and Marshall. So they are all pretty much running even times here. Which again, it feels like the only way you're going to break this is if you pit early, and I said he was going to do the undercut. Well, he is in. Marshall is in for the final stop of the night. He wants the undercut. He wants the track position. He is calling his shot, if you will. He is in his number 16 machine. We'll stay on board with him just to see what he does. 4 or 2 tires. I assume it's going to be 4, but we've seen 2 work, but I think he's just a bit too far away from Bader to take 2. Jack goes up on the right side. Jack goes up on the left side. And away he goes. Brian Dixon also in. That's Kevin Feemster. There's Brian Dixon. He is in for his final stop as well. So we officially have hit the window. Bowie Esports sends 2 cars here. It does make you wonder, is Team Boss going to follow suit here? Especially starting to lose a little bit of time. Does he stick to the overcut? He will stay out another lap here. He likes to have the fresh tires late. He's seen him work it to his advantage, but he hasn't been able to take that to victory. Chris Fleming in, another playoff driver. He will give up his top 5 running spot, and he is now officially in. And all eyes are on our top 2. When will they pit, and will they follow suit? What has shocked me that, well, speaking of that, maybe Feather Place is listening to the broadcast. He is coming in for the undercut. He thinks his best chance is to undercut here. He is now officially in. We'll watch him as well to see if he takes 2 or 4. Every car that has come in under service has taken 4 tires. We'll see if he follows suit. Remember, he may have that slight deficit on tires just because of that extra stop he took. So Jack goes up. There go the 2 right sides. I assume there may be a cover off here soon from Hagen. Wanzing's in as well. 4 tires for the driver of the 34. Wanzing in. Feemster also in. I'm assuming both will take 4. No sign yet of pitting for Hagen. I think at this point, the longer he goes, I think he's considering 2 tires. As we saw him use 2 tires to his advantage week in and week out, I think he thinks that may be a strategy, but he is in. He will pit. And now the question is, how will they cycle out? keep an eye on for a second. We can say, though, Edward Marshall right there just comes out just a tick ahead of Feather Place. And remember, he came in 3 laps earlier. So we'll keep an eye on the tire call here, and then we'll pivot back to that. Brian Johnson will take the race of this lead, by the way. Bourdon also in as well. So Brian Johnson, our current race leader, then McDonough, Pennell, and Battles. 2 tires up. Will be 4. It will be 4, so we'll pivot to Marshall. Keep an eye on the left of your screen here. You're looking for a teal car, blue and black. There, it's leaving its box now. He's on the inroad. Can Marshall and Feather Place leap him? I think there's going to be a chance Hagan comes out with this lead here. Here comes the blend line. He's ahead. Speaking up while we were watching, Feather Place is going to get a run here on the car of 34 fame. And he will get clear. So Hagan with the overcut will take the lead back here. Feather Place now in second. Marshall in third. This is why I'm not a race engineer, folks. We assume that is final stop. I assume there'll be no more pit stops here. Battles Johnson also in. Meaning right now, at the moment, this will be our de facto 1, 2, 3 when pit stops conclude. However, McDonough is our current race leader. Pennell and Dixon, your top 3. Well, there's Dixon, there's Pennell. Hagan, Feather Place, Marshall not lapped down, so if they were caution were to come out, they would be fine. Hagan just sets the personal best of this race and the fastest lap of this race. He's going to have a little bit of traffic here with Matthew Kent. We'll see what he can do. It's a good side draft or draft off that driver of the 15. Mark Dila has given up third spot. He is now officially in. You also see Feather Place trying to get around Kent. They had a little bit of a run in. McDonough in. Oop. We go to Marshall. Feather Place still trying to get clear. We know they had their little run in at Charlotte, but looks like bygones will be bygones. They will get clear. McDonough will pit. He'll give up second. I mean, Ryan Pennell is our current race leader. Once he pits, Hagan will have lead. We'll have a half-second gap over Brandon Feather Place in second. We'll recycle the field once Pennell pits, as obviously it'll be a bit easier to do all the math. Pennell was thinking about coming in. He will get it in. Obviously a bit of an unorthodox line. But he's in. As we see Hagan come off a 4. He will take the lead of this race back. Hagan, Feather Place, Marshall, your top 3. There's Ryan Pennell. There's Edward Marshall. Fleming, Dixon, your top 5. Are going to catch a little traffic here. McDonough coming out of pit lane. Obviously, McDonough will have fresh tires, so should be theoretically able to pull away from Hagan. This draft could actually end up helping if see Hagan gets a good lunge there. But the problem is passing him now. He's got those fresh tires. Should be able to zoom right back around him, and you'll see right there going to do the over-under, possibly thinking about it, but thinking about it and doing it are 2 different things. just a second. We've cycled the field. Obviously, we'll actually do it now. We usually want to wait till 30 laps to go, but since we kind of hit a lull in the action, we'll do a cycle through right now and give you the premature 30 lap to go rundown here. Give you the up to speed. So right now, John Hagen, currently first, started first, high of first, led almost every session. Right now, 8 tenths clear of Brandon Featherplace, who currently sits in second. Who put that car second, started second, and is in high as second, has not actually gotten that 34 to lead a lap yet in this race. Edward Marshall in third. He's done a good job to bounce back more. He qualified. Right now in third, healthy ahead of his teammate, Seth Wanzi, team boss, and also Fleming and Dixon. Chris Fleming, a driver that we talked to at Talladega a couple weeks ago, was definitely looking to show that he's more than a restrictor plate driver. Right now sitting in fourth. Definitely give him a good points haul here, but other drivers being a struggle. Brian Dixon in fifth, helping carry the torch there for Bowie. Is now with him being in the top five. That gives you 2 Bowie drivers inside the top five. Seth Wanzing falling back here. Showed a strong car early on, but seems to be struggling here late. As he sits in sixth. Matt Verdon in seventh, another driver that used strategy after a poor quali to get towards the front. And now it's nicely in seventh position, a net gain of over 9 spots more he qualified. Ross Baxter sitting in eighth, also carrying the flag for Bowie inside the top 10. Having a good quiet run here inside the top 10. Not much you can really, more than you can ask for when you're looking for good finishes. Kevin Feemster sitting in ninth. Again, considering he was the highest second, started fifth. Seems to be, again, similar to Wanzing and a few other drivers falling back, but still a good top 10 run for him. And rounding out the top 10, Colin McDonough, who we saw do that fuel-only strategy, got himself the first, even lead a lap, but is beginning to try to get back on fresh tires here and hang on. And since obviously we're looking at right now, we'll finish up lead lap cars. Ryan Pinnell, the girl dad, in 11th. Matthew Kent sitting in 12th. Actually, I think he may actually be a lap down because he had Marshall behind him. And then Mark Dila in 13th and Josh Battles in 14th. The last of the playoff drivers currently actively running. That's your up to speed here. Back up to our race leader, John Hagen. 8-10th gap. That time by Featherplace was a little bit quicker, 30-19 to a 30-23, so it's in the cards. Theoretically, Featherplace could roll down John Hagen. Maybe when he tried to pull that undercut, he was thinking he could maybe get ahead on track, get that position. If one thing we've learned, Hagen has many lives. He likes to show them off, but that time by, again, Featherplace had the slight advantage. Again, right now he doesn't need to take big chunks. He doesn't need to be overly aggressive. As long as he makes small inroads, if you're Brandon Featherplace, as long as he makes small inroads, get a 10th here, a 10th there, even small intervals, you will get there by the time this race ends. Well, maybe not too slow, but, you know, see, this time by, Hagen was faster, so all those inroads he just gained, he just lost. So I'll be about trying to find down that ninth edge, but knowing Hagen is a champion of the series, he's won 8 races, could win 9 by the end of tonight, could be the first driver to go back-to-back double-win seasons. It's definitely hard to catch this #1 car napping at a track where he doesn't feel that strong. That time by, though, big advantage Featherplace just had, 30-17 to a 30-31. Big inroads there for the driver of the 34. I do wonder if we get a late caution. We saw last week some drivers come in, some drivers stay out. The drivers that came in, it worked out. Obviously, knowing Hagen and Featherplace pitted 5 times and have taken 5 fresh tires, we know they don't have probably another fresh set of tires, so they're probably going to be doomed to stay out unless they want to put scuffs on it. Meanwhile, as we watch this battle here between Fleming and Marshall, as Fleming has reeled down Marshall, I think Marshall's starting to feel the effects of that undercut. Meanwhile, we look at, but finish my point, Marshall and Fleming both have presumably an extra set of tires here. If we were to get a late caution, could maybe play a factor for these drivers. This is last step of the podium we're watching a battle for here. Brian Dixon also there in the distance as well, so it's shaping up to be a good race here for the last step of the podium. But right now, Chris Fleming holds that spot. also Brian Dixon. So I think Marshall, again, that undercut maybe is starting to feel the effects of it, as now he's under pressure here from Brian Dixon as well. Out of these three, Chris Fleming did come in the earliest, but they were the drivers that committed to an undercut the earliest, though, as Marshall came in at 115, Dixon came in at 116, and Chris Fleming came in at 117. We'll see if, luckily for Marshall, though, it's about a 5-second gap to Seth Wan's in his mirror, so as long as he keeps the tires under him, he should be at least okay to hang on to the top 5. Further back up, we go to the lead. It's now turned into a second as they both work around traffic here, and I was hypothesizing maybe Marshall was feeling the effects of the undercut. Well, now is Feather Place feeling the effects of the undercut. Came in 2 laps earlier than Hagan. And with the undercut not being as potent around here, about to see. See it cut down to 9/10 there. It just feels like it's a yo-yo effect here because we're watching the action play out. It seems like every time a 10th, Feather Place gains a 10th, he gives back maybe a little over a 10th. So if he, like that time by, he ran a 30-20 to a 30-29, so a 0.09 gain for Feather Place. It seems like every time he gains something, he loses it. So this time by, we'll check the times as they come across the board. 30-34 for Hagan, a 30-28 for Feather Place. So again, slight inroads. There'll be another 0.06. So he's gained about at least a 10th. 0.15, we're going to be probably more efficient. But he's got to keep these inroads going. But it looks like maybe Hagan made a slight mistake. That fell well over a 10th here. That time by, it's now fallen under 8. We'll check the times across the board this time by. 30-30 for Hagan, a 30-18 for Feather Place. So Hagan running consistent. Feather Place just found a rocket under that lap that time by, as he was fast on the track. Both drivers the quickest by a good distance, as they're both running about a 10th or 2 ahead of Fleming, who sits in 3rd. For the Troubles, they've opened up well over 9 seconds to the 3rd place driver. Speaking of, as we see that time by, I think Hagan neutralized it. Yep, he ended up running slightly faster than Feather Place. But looking up the road, though, is about to hit 15 to go. Not much traffic that could maybe help or hurt either our drivers here. 1 lap car up the road, I think, looking from afar. I think that is Kevin Feemster. It is. It's Kevin Feemster, and then presumably up the road from him, it's Matt Vordon. That's 8 seconds. I don't think that is Vordon, so see the effects that had, but Feather Place has gotten it down. Just pulled in another 10th. This is shaping up to be a good finish between the top 2 here. But again, is Hagan playing a little bit of possum? Saving his stuff, knowing that eventually when Hagan gets close, it's go time. 15 to 14 laps to go. We're going to pivot away just for a second here. So we're keeping an eye on the battle here for 6. Wanzing, Baxter, Vordon, 6th, 7th, 8th on our screen respectively. And is this shaping up here? We cut to it because it looked like Baxter was getting close to making a move, but now it looks like Baxter's falling to the clutches of Vordon here. This one seems to settle up for a little bit. We're going to go back to our race leader. They both are working around Kevin Feemster as we speak. 6/10 is the gap now, 0.65 between Hagan and Feather Place, 12 laps to go. Meaning pretty much Feather Place has to either shave off a 10th or 2. Actually, Noteworthy, Brian Dixon's coming in for 4th. And Ross Baxter's pitting from 8th. Is there concerns here as Baxter ends up losing and coming to pit lane? I assumed they were good on fuel. I assumed they split it in half. Are there concerns? Remember, Baxter and Dixon came in slightly earlier than those two. Regardless, right now, it's now back to 7/10. We'll see if there's any other developments, but right now, Dixon and Baxter both pit with 11 laps to go, and they will give up top 10 runs here. Both are away. Dixon ended up taking 4 tires, and Baxter ended up taking, I think, fuel only. So very odd indeed. But they came in later than the likes of Marshall and Wanzing, but yet still had to come in for service. Oh, we do have breaking news. Brandon Featherplace has come in with 10 to go, so it looks like there's not enough fuel at the moment. The tanks are not going to be full enough. He is coming in, whether to cover his bases or they underfueled it. He is in. Hagen. It's worth noting, though, it's only been the 3 buoy cars of Featherplace, Dixon, and Baxter. Very odd. We're going to just check Featherplace again here. Yep, Jack going up for at least 2 sets of tires. And he's away. So this is a head scratcher. He's going to fall down to 6th. Now 7th. Possibly even 8th. As we'll see McDonough probably shoot around here in just a second. Yep. No, there's Blake Galloway. Yeah, he's going to merge just ahead. But it raises the question. Is there enough fuel in the tank? I assume they were good when they pitted. But look at the numbers right now. There is, I don't know if I'd say trouble in paradise, but I'm not sure what's going on. Well, while we watch this, we're going to cut back up. Well, Chris Fleming has pitted. We're just going to cut to Edward Marshall and Matt Verdon. They look like they're close to a battle, but Fleming's giving up 2nd. Do these cars have enough fuel? Does anyone have enough in the tank? 6 laps to go. Hagen, Wanzing, Verdon, Marshall, your top 4. This is a very head-scratcher. Personal best by Brandon Featherplace. Those 2 extra tires just got him an extra bonus point. Theoretically, if Hagen has to pit, can Featherplace jump him? Well, still no fuel concerns. We'll go on board here. We'll listen in on Hagen here. Watch his data. He's still running times to where he was running with Featherplace. Heavy, not really even a heavy lift. He will move around Brian Johnson. We'll listen again. Oh, pitting! He is pitting! He is in! Our race leader has given up the lead. He is in. Will Wanzing follow suit? This may have just opened up an avenue for Seth Wanzing. Wanzing, Verdon, Marshall, your top 3. They have yet to pit. Wanzing staying out. No hand. Verdon there as well. I assume Marshall is probably staying out as well. Away Hagen goes, but he's going to lose 1st, 2nd, and presumably 3rd. So we'll go on board here, but the problem is Wanzing's going to cause to get past here for the lead. Is he out of fuel? Verdon going to get around for the race lead. Is Wanzing backing it out more? Is Verdon got enough? 4, coming to 3 laps to go. Let's pull up the driver data here just to see. They're running really slower times, 38.4 to 31.63. They are really trying to back this number down. This is what you don't want to have in a fuel save run. Competition. Hagen is 5 seconds back, by the way, so they can back it down safely. Wanzing is going to try to go low side on Verdon. Oh, they touch again. They are fighting hard. They are fighting for their playoff lives. If one of these drivers finds victory, they lock themselves into the next round of the playoffs. Verdon did come in 1 lap later than Wanzing. 1:19 for Wanzing, 1:20 for Verdon. 2 laps ago, neither driver hoping to see the white, so both drivers hoping to see the white flag, not hoping to see the caution. Wanzing cuts off Verdon there. As they come off of 4, Seth Wanzing will see the white flag. Can Wanzing hang on? Does he have enough fuel in it? Edward Marshall does not have enough. He is in. Kevin Feemster is in as so. Half a straightaway to go. No competition from Hagen. It's going to be between the two of them as long as the fuel holds. Verdon in. He's going to contact Wanzing. Wanzing's going to save it. Still going to save it, but it's not going to be enough. Verdon going to come off of 4, and he's going to take another one. The 00 finds victory here at Nashville. Had to think, and I don't think Wanzing's going to be too thrilled about it. Oh, there's a little bit of a bump. Yeah, Wanzing's definitely pissed, and you can see it right there. Oh, he's rounding the back of him, still hounding the back of him. Make sure he's got to keep a cool head here. Another little tap there. Another tap. This is definitely going to be interesting to see how it plays out in the stewarding room. Yeah, he is still, you can see the fury. But Matt Verdon will take victory, and he will lock himself into the playoffs. Wanzing will just go around knowing it's just smarter not to end up getting any wrath here for penalties. But heartbreak for Seth Wanzing, jubilation for Matt Verdon. I was kind of questioning. I was saying both drivers, I said, you know, they're going kind of slow. Obviously, we did not have the fuel data, and Verdon not even going to celebrate. Just a quick stop, didn't even have enough fuel to celebrate. Looks like Wanzing also ran out of tank too, so minute celebration, if you will, for our race winner. But a very interesting situation, to say the least. So we will get ready to get the interviews going here, as obviously we may give them just a second here to kind of talk it out, as we know there's definitely going to be some fury and some moments of question. But while we wait for kind of that to play out here and go for the information, obviously we'll love to hear both Verdon and Wanzing's thoughts there, as they made the fuel work. That is impressive, to say the least. But we'll take a quick look at the final results here. Matt Verdon takes victory here. Seth Wanzing in second. Hagen third. Feather Place fourth. Colin McDonough fifth. Ryan Pennell sixth. Chris Fleming seventh. Mark Dila eighth. Brian Dixon ninth. And Matthew Kent rounds out the top 10. Battles, Marshall, Feemster, Baxter, your top 10, 11th through 14th. And then Johnson, Galloway, Mongold, Markowski, Joy, and Gaiman will finish it out. So we'll go over that in a little bit of deep dive in just a minute, but we want to make sure we get the interviews in here and hear the thoughts from our race winner and everyone else out throughout the board. So we'll start off here with Matt Verdon, our race winner, and we'll hear his thoughts now. Matt, this is Kevin the ABN booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Obviously, very interesting finish, to say the least, as even I was caught a bit off guard with you and Wanzing both having the fuel, but we'll get to that in just a moment. We got to start at the beginning, though. You seem to have a poor qualifying, yet the car seemed kind of strong. So what happened during qualifying to put you further back than you probably thought you were going to be to start this race?
Second lap was the hot lap, and just run the outside first lap, get as much heat in the tires as you can, and then you go in the second, and I buried that thing so deep into into turn one that I missed the turn, and it just killed the qualifying lap. So I knew this was more of a long run type race, so I was totally fine with cruising in the back, just trying to clear the accidents in front of me, make sure I didn't take any damage. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad call because we saw Gaiman, LaJoy, a few of the playoff drivers, including Markowski, get into trouble during this run. So definitely keeping the nose clean definitely was at least a smart strategy. We saw in the second stage early caution come out, and then you flipped it, and you ended up getting track position in the second stage, and were able to hang on. So I will kind of throw out this point here. Ned in clean air, were you able to kind of get the ponies out of that car, or were you always just trying to think, hey, play this like a long game? So I guess with the clean air and the extra spacing on the track, did you really able to really put the hammer down and show what this 00 had, especially in stage 2?
Yeah, in the second stage there, my line was different than everyone else pretty much, and it kept the air clean off the nose, and I think I was able to have more right front there in the long run, so I could push longer. I was entering much shallower than everybody else and just sticking it on that yellow line. I, coming off the corner like that, I was definitely getting walked away from a little bit, but I knew in the long run that my times weren't going to fall off as harshly as theirs did. So that was basically the strategy there. I felt like after in the second stage, I was keeping up with Hagen and Brandt and Fetter Place there, and felt real good. I was like, okay, I got top 3 speed in the long run, so let's just make this go the extra mile.
Looking onward, obviously we go into the final stage. We obviously up at the booth didn't have a full picture of what the fuel tank looked like, but everyone was coming down, and then obviously you came in at lap 120, pretty much one of the latest drivers in the field, and we assumed everyone was good to go to the finish. And then next thing you know, the Bowie Esports cars start pulling off, and everyone else starts pulling off. And next thing you know, you're in a spot. So I guess I got to ask directly, what was the fuel economy looking like when you made your final pit stop of the race where everyone else had to go one extra stop? Did you think, I can make this if I save enough? Or are you just in it's close, we're just going to coast and play and hope what happens happens?
So the fuel economy was about 36 laps, I think, on a full tank if you were pushing. So you had to save at minimum 4 to make the 40 lap stretch, and that was full. So if I could make it go 40, then I can do another 40 and end the race. And friggin' Hagen had more fuel than I did. He saved better than I did, and I think he pushed a little longer and misjudged how much fuel he needed to get back up there, because I realized right away when I came out of the pits, and it died in the stall when I came in with 100 lap 120, I think. Yeah. It ran out of gas in the stall. And when I came out, I was like, wow, I got to save another 5 laps basically. So I just started doing my thing, and I tried to oversave because I knew I would need something in case I needed to push, and it absolutely came in at the end there with Seth. I had to drop it. It's like Fast and the Furious, drop it in the low gear and haul ass and get around them. And it ran out coming to the finish line.
Obviously, we'll talk about Seth in just a sec, because obviously that's going to be a talking point, I guess, to say the least. But it's interesting to see, because obviously with Hagen having the push in the lead, he couldn't say the number, yet you two able were. So regardless, it was very impressive. But now I guess we got to talk what was going on those final couple laps there, because obviously you and Wanzing were battling. Wanzing got clear, and then the contact in 4 that Wanzing definitely didn't appreciate. But I guess we're going to ask both your guys' thoughts on this, so we'll start with you. What's your thought on the last couple laps there from your perspective?
Well, I guess I'm a short track guy, and a lot of contact is normal. So, I mean, these cars are obviously different, and you got to go easier on them. They're not as easy to save at all. But what was it? 1 to go, coming out of 4, he ran me up basically into the wall, close to it, and ruined the run that I had on him. And then we had the white flag, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't even kind of realize it. And I was like, okay, that's why he did that. He's racing a little defensively. And so I kicked up the pace right there because I had to get back to him. And going into 3, um, I didn't have the nose in there, but he knew I was gonna, you know what I mean? Like I'm the move is telegraphed. So I feel like he was gonna get a bump from me either way. He would have been better set up to take that bump had he gotten a little lower. And um, Seth's a buddy of mine. He's a good driver. Love racing with him. Um, there's no hard feelings with him pushing me up the track there. Like I said, short track racing, I'm used to a lot of contact. So, um, but like I didn't appreciate it, so I'm gonna return the favor a little bit. I'm glad he could hang on to it though. He's definitely a skilled driver to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, again, from what we saw here, it's just I would probably chalk it up to at least hard racing for a playoff spot, and no one ended up going around.
Oh yeah.
So obviously, from here, I'm trying to stay neutral, but obviously we'll see what happens. But I don't think there was anything too egregious in that. Both 1-2. Again, good call for both of you, regardless. Get a nice 1-2. But looking onward ahead, you obviously got the win. You do not have to worry about the Roval next week. But I guess I will ask this question: if you did not win today, what was your thoughts on the Roval next week? Do you think it's a track that we can see you shine at, or are you maybe worried heading into the Roval next week if you didn't have this win in the back pocket?
So I'm not great in these cars as far. I mean, I say that, but I always typically do fairly well at the road courses. But um, I'm not the most comfortable person turning right in these things. They're not the greatest. They don't really stop. So I actually just this week started working on my sports license, and the Roval was one track that I was running a lot on. So kind of prepared me for it. I feel like it's a great track. It was definitely fun to run in those other cars. So I just got to get used to it on here. I don't expect myself to have podium or top 5 speed in it, but be quick enough to be running somewhere in the top 10.
Mm-hmm. Well, regardless, you don't have to worry too much about it as you got the win, but we'll definitely hopefully see you in the top 5 and top 10. You gotten to the point of the show. Does anyone want to thank family, friends, sponsors, what have you? Floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, I appreciate all the friends and family that watch, come out and watch me race these, and even though I don't know what Seth's gonna say, but I'd like to thank him for putting on a good show. And in you and all the admins that put on this series, have a great time doing it. Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're welcome. Congratulations on being the third multi-time winner this season, and also congrats on making it to the round of 8. Obviously, enjoy yourself, enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully you'll be strong at the Roval next week. But regardless, take care. Have a good rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you.
And that was our race winner, Matt Vordon. And obviously, we will now pivot to, obviously, our race winner, and now we will pivot to our second place finisher, Seth Wanzing. Obviously, we'll hear his thoughts too, but hopefully it won't be too fiery at the very least. Seth, this is Kevin the A-Band Booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha.
Obviously, not how you wanted it to end, but we'll have to start at the very beginning because it seemed at the beginning that 5 machine seemed like it was on rails, at least for the first stage and the second stage. So am I not wrong to assume that this track definitely played to your strengths?
No, it does. One of my better racetracks. I knew I could run top 5 all day just fine, and was hoping to get exactly what we got there on that last run. Just didn't pan out.
Mm-hmm. Looking onward, obviously, first stage, second stage, you led, and then it seemed like I do got to at least throw this one question out here. Is it did seem like you were maybe I wouldn't say struggling, but were you maybe trying to preemptively save fuel in that final stage? Is obviously we heard from Matt Fordon it was close at 120, and you came in at the latest you could. So were you preemptively maybe in that final stage saving fuel to give yourself a chance to make it on a final pit stop? Because it did seem like you were. It did seem at least from the times you were trying to save at least a little bit of time.
Oh, I was saving almost that whole run. Um, so yeah, I was saving that whole last run. I was trying to get to 120 so I could save 40, get to 40 laps, which is what I did. Executed that flawlessly. save fuel the best I could. I gave up a little bit more room to gap to Matt. He did a great job saving fuel as well. And hmm, let him get too close, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, obviously, we were going to go into that next question. Obviously, looking at the last couple laps, you've had that 5 in the lead, and you two were running hard. So I asked Verdon this question. I'll ask you the same question in verbatim. Take us to those last couple laps from your perspective.
Yeah, got back ahead of Matt there. Maybe touched him a little bit off corner exit. But I mean, I was there. It wasn't anything egregious, if hardly any at all. I was staying in fifth gear. Bad move. I had saved more than I had thought. And by the time I saw that and peeked down in one and two, it was too late. And he got a run down the back and decided to drive from 4 car lengths back and just ship it. I could have put it on the bottom and completely spun. I could have put it on the top and him just used me up. Could have done a lot of things. So I have a lot of respect for Matt. I love Matt, but I am, you know what, pissed right now. I won't cuss on your broadcast, but um, to me that was a little much. Um, I feel like I've raced everybody with respect all year. But you know what? Maybe I shouldn't just be too nice. So I owe him one. Um, I'll keep that in the old memory bank. I probably won't even use it. Um, but had a rough week. Really could have used a win there, but that doesn't mean anything to anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm really, really mad, Kevin.
I
Really mad.
I could imagine. It's definitely frustrating and definitely heartbreaking, and I could definitely understand the emotion you're feeling here. Looking onward ahead, obviously you got the Roval next week. Obviously you got a good haul points here tonight, regardless of the outcome. Looking at the Roval, we know you've definitely shown strength at the road courses, as you've definitely improved. So thoughts on the Roval next week? Is a track we can see you just be as strong at like here tonight?
Yeah, I would expect a top 10, hopefully. Sometimes we get people come out for the road courses. Um, Hopefully get a top 10 and hopefully advance to the round of 8 and go on to New Hampshire and Las Vegas and can't see if we can't make Michigan in the final.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know what I gotta do to win one of these things. John's really quick. I thought I did enough tonight. I obviously did not do enough tonight. Um, it just sucks getting essentially dumped from 4 car lengths back is how I felt. It might have been closer. I might be being a baby, but it's been about 2 years now since I won a race. So, um, getting frustrated, not happy about it. I could have blocked the bottom more, but then I just get shipped even more, and I probably pancake the outside wall because it'll send me right with the way this car is. I figured it was coming, and I tried like freaking hell to save it, and I couldn't do it. I was trying to save it and get back to his right rear and hopefully suck him back, but couldn't do it. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll keep that in the memory bank, and if we have to use it, we'll use it.
Fair enough. Obviously, if you've gotten to the point of the show, if there's anyone you want to thank, family, friends, sponsors, what have you, floor is yours. Take it away.
Um, yeah, like I said, it's been a tough week for me. Been a tough day. Thank you to all my family and friends at home watching. I know they're watching. I appreciate everybody. Thank you to Midwest Barbecue, Hooray Grills, County Beverage, Kansas City, and you for broadcasting, everybody at ABN, and all my fellow A2 admins for making everything possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been great talking to you, Seth. Obviously,
been a little bit of a time away, but obviously it's great to see you again in the booth here and get to talk to you. Obviously, we do wish you well. Obviously, hope you have a better week this week than you did last week. But regardless, you take care. Have a good rest of your week. And that was our second place finisher, Seth Wanzing, and that will leave us one more to go here. Just gotta find the right chat. There we go. So we gotta bring it to the third place guy, and obviously we were expecting it maybe the top spot, but it ends up being the last step of the podium, but he'll still be proud of that regardless. It's John Hagan. Let's hear his thoughts now. John, this is Kevin the ABM booth. You got a copy?
I do, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing good. Obviously, got a bit shocked there by the ending, but it wasn't involving you, but still P3. Very good regardless. So we'll start at the beginning. You put the car on pole. Thing looks strong. Thing looks like on rails. I feel like you're getting tired of me saying that. But was the car on rails like it seemed? Tires hold up okay, or were there possibly tire concerns?
Not really tire concerns. The car was okay. Setup was okay. Track is okay. I'm not a huge fan of this place, but everything was okay enough for me to do all right. So that's how the first stage went. And I know you're inevitably going to ask about what happened at the start of the second stage.
You can read my mind if you want to go just ahead and tell us what happened in the second stage. Because it looked like Wanzing, you got a little close, and I thought at first Wanzing may have got you a little loose then in the feather place. Then looking on replay, feather place, you got pushed up the road, and the feather place got in the corner panel. So what happened to start stage 2 that almost, it looked like at first, could have possibly took you out of it, but you ended up surviving it. So take us through that incident in stage 2.
I knew I wasn't going to come out with the lead on the restart because tires don't mean anything here. But, I mean, I got tight myself on the outside trying to roll the top. I got a little bit of Ryan's dirty air, and I didn't expect it. Seth got tight underneath me, pushed me up, but it's like no fault to him. I still had room, right? So, Seth didn't do nothing wrong there. And I was in and out of the gas there. He was in and out of the gas there. Fetter Place was in and out of the gas there. We were all plowing to the fence in turn 1. And I left it a little bit more, and Fetter Place didn't anticipate it. I don't blame him. It's bang, bang type of thing. And I survived with minimal damage. And from there, it was just march forward, and a caution came at the right time for me to take 2, and so that's what I did. And that got us back into the lead and back in control of this race.
Which ended up giving you both stages, which seems like a common occurrence we see. Looking at the final stage, though, we do got to talk about it, because obviously up in the booth, we assumed one pit stop, you'd be good to go to the end. We didn't think there were fuel concerns, but then we see everyone come in, and the next thing you know, we see the Bowie Sports cars come in, then Feather Place, everyone else, and then we assume, are you coming in or not? And you came at the latest, 120, and yet didn't have enough fuel. So obviously, I would chalk that up to probably you battling Feather Place there, and Feather Place keeping you on your toes so you couldn't save. But what happened in that final stage there to try to get the fuel to work to make it on one more stop, which you sadly weren't able to do?
I knew it was a fuel mileage race, and I knew somebody was going to try to do it. I knew they were going to try to do it on one stop. To start the run, it was 76 laps to go, and we could go 35, maybe, and I mean maybe 36 on full push. So that would put us 4 to 6 laps short over the course of the 2 runs if we didn't save fuel. I did save fuel the first run, but I wasn't clutching and coasting like the guys who won the race were. I was just lifting early and shifting early, and that got me an extra, I think, lap or 2. And I looked at it and I'm like, well, if I do that again, I'm still going to be 2 short. So I didn't even bother, So from there, I was like, okay, well, now I have a choice. I can super save and gamble, which, I mean, I'm not in a poor point situation to need to, So I have that luxury, and I was like, well, we got a nice cushion on points. We're just going to go for it and see if we can leapfrog these guys saving. And we leapfrogged all but 2 at the end, saving fuel, because the plan was take my 1.8 gallons of fuel and go. And, we leapfrogged everybody but Ryan and Matt, and they ended up out in front of us.
Yeah, they made that economy work in that. But, hey, P3 is still nothing to sneeze at, especially with the run you had today. Looking onward, we have the Roval next week. Obviously, again, like you alluded to, you have a good points gap. You had basically a full rates gap after today, and adding those extra points. I wouldn't say you're locked in. I have to see how the math goes, but you're close to locked in. So, obviously, you're going to go as hard as you can at the Roval. Do you think it's a track we could see you win at? But, obviously, knowing we sometimes see the ringers, things can always change. But what's your thoughts on the Roval? Is it a track that plays in your wheelhouse?
I love the Charlotte Roval. I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, either way, I just have to not crash and finish last. I mean, I could finish probably second to last and be advanced. So the goal is to crash and not finish last, and we'll be all right. Obviously, I'm gonna go as hard as I can and hopefully win, but it's not a end all be all if I don't.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you just want to make sure you get to the next round, then worry about the next pathway from there. We've gotten to the point in the show, so I want to thank family, friends, sponsors, what have you. Floor is yours. Take it away.
Shout out SRD Motorsports, John Spiel for putting me in this car, and my teammates who were hanging out with me during this race. Shout out the ARCS admins for putting these races on and doing the good job they do week in, week out to make sure we have fun. Shout out you, Kevin, and the rest of the ABN crew in the broadcast booth. I appreciate y'all week in, week out. Shout out my beautiful girlfriend for putting up with me yelling and screaming while I do these things. And yeah, we'll go get them next week.
Good mindset to have. Great. Good to talk to you again as always. Enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully it's just as good as the last couple weeks. And take care. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you. You as well.
And that was our third place finisher, John Hagan. And with that, our interviews have officially closed. So we'll take one more look at the results here, and then actually, before we take a look at the results, we'll take one more quick look at that last lap, as we didn't really get a good look at it, and just for preservation, we'll just take a quick look. Obviously, probably if you don't want to look at this, others do, but we'll just let it play out here, and we'll see the incident again, just to see it one more time from perspectives. Obviously, we're covering so much things. So we'll play this last lap out one more time in its entirety, and then we'll go over the final results here. So, again, it's just two drivers, I would say, fighting hard for a playoff victory here, both knowing the stakes, both knowing that you want to make sure you get to the next round, both trying to make the fuel economy work. And obviously, you know, both drivers have respect for each other. Obviously, both a little bit furious here and there. Both want to find victory. For Don, again, being the two-time winner of the season now, it's definitely something that happened in the bingo card. You can see right there, just... It's hard racing. The door was open. It kind of seemed like it, but at the same point, at the end of the day, at least both ended up finishing first and second, even though both wanted to have their name be the number one. We'll take a look at the final results one more time, as we did kind of speed through it. We'll do it again. Verdon gets the W, locks himself into the next round of the playoffs. He'll be one of 8 drivers we'll see at New Hampshire fighting for the championship. Seth Wanzen will come in second. John Hagan rounds out the podium, and like Hagan said, he would need a catastrophic failure to miss the next round of the playoffs as long as he does okay at the Roval. Brandon Feather plays 4th. Colin McDonough rounds to the top 5. Good drive, McDonough there. I think he also may have been on the fuel save strategy as well. No, he came in late, so never mind. He didn't actually stretch it. But he came out, got a good P5 for him. Pinnell 6th, Fleming 7th, Dila 8th, Dixon 9th, Matthew Kent 10th. Looking at this top 10, outside the top 3, only Fleming is the only other playoff driver. So that is definitely what the doctor would for him. Kent, Battles, Marshall, Feemster, Baxter, your top 14. As we saw some of them go lap down, then unlap themselves, as obviously saw drivers pit. Moving on to the next page, Brian Johnson 4 down. Blake Galloway recovered nicely. And at the end of the day, Galloway put himself ahead of 3 playoff drivers as Markowski dealt with connectivity issues late when iRacing froze. LaJoy and Gaiman got crash damage and finished 19th and 20th, respectively. Obviously, looking onward ahead, like I've alluded to, it's the Charlotte Roval. At the end of the Roval, the field of 12 will be settled to a field of 8. And everyone will be seeing who those 7 other drivers to join Matt Verdon will be. Obviously, we'll find that out in due time next week. But I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. It's been fun to call this race. Shaped up to be a great finish, and it was a good broadcast throughout. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope we can see you next week. But until then, my name is Kevin Young. Thank you for tuning in.